What is good, YouTube? Coming to you with a Burning Abyss deck profile. Now, it's been a while since I gave you a deck profile. In fact, I think I didn't even have 3 Dantes the last time I gave you a deck profile, which was probably like November, probably mid-November. So it's been a while, but now that the new stuff has come out, it's made the deck a little bit less mainstream. Probably get killed in the comment section for saying that, but it's more of a funner deck to run. Obviously, it's still competitive, it's still tier 1, but it's a little bit more fun to run now. So I like it with the ritual. I know a lot of people that don't run the ritual for multiple reasons, but I like it. So let's get into the deck profile, shall we? So for the main deck, we run 2 copies of Malkuta, Netherlord of the Burning Abyss. Now, I understand how this gets cloggy, but I think you have to run 2, in my opinion, because of the fact that you run 2 good and evil. So, if you only run 1, I don't see how the second good and evil, if you draw 2 good and evil, like, that's pretty bad. So, I like to match up 2 Netherlords with 2 good and evil. I know you can mill 1, so mill 1 of each, probably. So, I like running 2. I know it might get a little cloggy, but it's never a bad thing. So I like seeing this guy. I like making him, and he helps win games. So yeah, 2 copies of Malkuta. We then run for the Malbranches. We run 2 copies of Rubik. Still a very good card. As you know, a lot of people running him at 3. I just like him at 2. Just personal preference. So 2 copies of him. I play 3 copies of Graf. Standard. 3 copies of Seer Standard, and 3 copies of Skarm Standard. For the 1-ofs, we run, 2-ofs rather, we run 2 more Leviks. Good summing from hand, basically like a Marauding Captain. We run 1 Farfa. I see a lot of people running him at multiples. I run 1 Calcab and 1 Alec. I might scratch the Alec for a Farfa, but for the time being, I kind of like Alex because you can negate your own acid golems. So, 1 Alec. I then run 3 copies of Tour Guide from the Underworld. So, yep, that's it for the monster lineup. So a pretty hefty monster lineup, if you ask me. It's pretty hefty. So, that's your monster lineup. For the spells, we run 2 copies of Good and Evil, the Burning Abyss. This card is good to summon Malkuta, but it's even better to basically send cards from your hand to your graveyard and add cards from your deck to your hand. So I might bump this up to 3 and think about cutting a card. So 2 copies of Good and Evil for now. Good and Evil is a really good card. I then run 2 copies of what I think is the best card in the format that I have not seen anyone play yet, and that's 2 Creature Swap. Now I'm going to do a separate video of why Creature Swap is good, and mine might even be considered the most effective card of the format. I can't say best card of the format because no one runs it, and I don't know why, but Creature Swap is amazing this format. It's literally with Shaddoll's, it's the best card to run. Burning Abyss, I would side it out. Kleeports is amazing. This card's amazing against Kleeports. And I'm not sure what else. But that's really what I can think of. But I mean, this card could still be good against the mirror match if you can find a way to get Dante. So 2 Creature Swap, I think, in this deck is so amazing. So Creature Swap for days. I then run 2 copies of Enemy Controller. A great card, has been dominating the meta as well. I like to take other people's stuff, so be aware of that. And then run 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. I slide the 3rd, but MST is great. I love this card. I'll probably put, yeah, I would definitely side in the 3rd against Kleeports, but I mean, 2 I think is a good number for now. For the 1-ofs, we run 1 copy of Rank Up Magic Astral's Force. I still like the 1 Rank Up. Obviously, no one is really playing it still. I still like it to make Pleiades against certain problematic cards, especially against Shaddoll's. So, yeah, Rank Up's pretty good. pretty good. We run one Soul Charge because bringing back stuff is fun. Raigeki because blowing up fields, answer to vanities. Snatch Steal because stealing games is fun. Foolish Burial, good card to lead off with. Starts your plays. That's it for the spells. To reach across the camcorder here. So yep, those are your spells. For the chops, we run a very, very basic lineup of 3 copies of Fire Lake, because if you're not running 3 Fire Lake and running Burning Abyss, I don't know what you're doing. And then 2 copies of Vanity's Emptiness, and that's all. So, we then run, for the extra deck, we run 3 copies of Dante, Travel with the Burning Abyss. You have to run 3, especially nowadays when, you know, all your plethora of Malbranch names, you want to keep your field pretty much all Burning Abyss, unless you're in awkward position, which you were to creature swap, or any of your controller, your stuff to get their stuff, and it's very good. Right, the deck is very versatile right now because of all the plays you can make with all your different names, and you can take their stuff and whatnot. So I like 3 copies of Dante, obviously. 2 Virgil, standard number of Virgils to run. I mean, you pretty much make it, I would say, once every 2 duels and twice every, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 duels, but you pretty much make them once guaranteed. But if you do have the Rubik in the grave, you're probably going to sear it back and you have an opportunity to make another one. So Virgil's a very good card to have, very good toolbox card for the deck. Alucard, Temtempo. I run Temtempo because what people do is, if you commit to your Acid Golem, they'll be stupid enough to Snatch Steal it, and when they do Snatch Steal it, you want to like, you want to like jump up and shout hooray, because if they do Snatch Steal your Acid Golem, you're making this guy the next turn, because you basically detach one from Acid Golem on your turn, and then do it again on their turn, their standby phase. So this way they take 2,000 each turn, and they can't get rid of it. And plus, they can't special summon or attack. We run one number 20 Giga Brilliant, gets over certain cards. It helps you get your Dantes over certain cards, and can finish off certain plays. And then run 1 copy of Acid Golem because certain, it pretty much like your only answer to certain attack monsters. So yeah, 1 copy of him, 1 copy of Fortune Tune to stall, and then run 2 copies of Nightmare Shark because stealing games is amazing. I might bump this up to 3, but basically the theory is that if you summon Tour Guide, get your Scarm, overlay for Nightmare Shark, detach the Scarm, attack with this guy this guy goes. First turn, we assume that. We then get the Tour Guide with the Scarm and do another Nightmare Shark the next turn and burn your opponent up for 4,000 damage. If you run 3, you can do the same thing for 6,000 damage. I just don't have the room. So 2 copies of Nightmare Shark. We then run 2 copies of the Downed Magician. Still a very good card. When you take your opponent's Dante with creature swap, you down it over it. Or very similar theory to which my friend Nick did with his Shaddolls, where he sided in 2 cards for Dante, and one of them being Mind Control, and then down it over it. So yeah. We then run Constellar Pleiades as the final card of the extra deck. We run him with in tandem with the Astral's Force with Dante. So yeah. For the side deck, this is pretty much the only deck I'll give sides for, and I pretty much use the same side deck for my Noble Knights or whatever. So yeah. This is the only card I don't run for Noble Knights, though. Vanity's Fiend is pretty good against Shaddolls and Burning Abyss. Flying Sea for Rogue and Burning Abyss. The third MST. 2 copies of Breakthrough Skill. When you go first, you should put these in if you're playing Burning Abyss or Rogue, like Madolche or something like that. So, Breakthrough Skill is pretty good. William Prising Mirror for, I guess, Teller Knights. Just really just Teller Knights are the rare. What I guess Bujins are starting to be played a little bit with Honest going to do, so whatever. William Prising Mirror is a thing. Fairy Wind, MVP for the last locals I went to. I played the side deck for Noble Knights, and Fairy Wind just won me too many games. If you're going first, the Dust Tornadoes should be sided in for. Just really a good card to set first turn. They MST this, you chain or whatever, and you set one of the cards that you didn't want to set, such as Firelake or Vanities. So 2 copies of Dust Tornado. We then run the 2 copies of Stygian Dirge for the mirror match, for Rogue, Tower Knights, etc. So that's it for my Burning Abyss lineup. Obviously nothing too out of the ordinary. Not too many builds though have came out yet with the Malacotas and whatnot. I really like Malcota. I'm thinking, heavily debating whether to cut it to 1 or not, but I just really like it. It looks really pretty, and I could never decide whether to use the Ghost or the Secret Rare. I just couldn't decide. So anyway, guys, that's it for the deck profile. And I'll do a separate video of why I think Creature Swap is good. And there might be some people that disagree with me, but it is personal choice, personal preference. But I just think I just rave on about this card, how it's just such a great card, and it really is one of the better cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. And so, yep, that's it really for now. I might do a little bit of an updated deck profile here and there, but for the time being, this is pretty much what I'll be taking to locals and testing out over the next coming of weeks or so. So, yep, on a very, very snowy afternoon here in New York, this is Hank Sabres signing off. Peace.